This vid is a follow-up to the one I made earlier where I mentioned bloodlines, and specifically, how I mentioned don't follow bloodlines or breed names or pedigrees and all that, and do your breedings dog for dog, which is true. That's standard with me. But how do bloodlines matter? Why do we talk about bloodlines? Why do we even call dogs a bloodline or a breeder a bloodline? And for me, they matter in this respect. Certain bloodlines, certain families of dogs are known for certain traits, known for having certain traits, and the good ones produce those traits. So when we speak of bloodlines, it's important to study them, to know the history of them, who had them, how they bred them, all that. And the reason for that is when you get a dog from a certain bloodline or a certain family of dog from a certain breeder, and either they tell you or show you or you've seen those dogs behave a certain way and perform a certain way, then that particular dog from that bloodline, that's how it should act. If we're talking about bully son dogs, for instance, they're tough and strong and fast and crazy and hard mouthed and short and squatty and all that, and their temperament is a very serious type of animal for the most part, and as opposed to a boleo dog, they're wild and crazy and screamers and good air and good balance and long distance and smart, intelligent. You talk about a Jeep dog, they're strong and they're fast, and durable. Same thing with Mayday dogs. They're known for being durable and long distance. Is one of their fortes, just like the white dogs. They're real rugged dogs. They're thick boned and big tooth and real game. Same thing with bullies. The boleo dogs are known for their gameness. Red boy dogs are known for their gameness and being wild and this and that. So when we talk about the bloodlines and we get dogs from those bloodlines, then they should exhibit those traits. The dogs should have those traits, and the reason why I say don't follow the bloodlines, because sometimes you get dogs and you see their pedigree, or you get dogs that are bred a certain way from a certain family of dogs, and they don't exhibit those traits. If you get a boleo dog and it's short and squatty and thick and doesn't have that speed or that heart or something, that's not a representative of the boleo dog. Doesn't matter if boleo is in the pedigree 158 times. If in the simple, if you get a bully son dog, and he doesn't have a lot of mouth, that happens. Most of them have it or they can throw it. But if you get one, even if it doesn't have mouth, if it doesn't display the rough style or have that good bone structure, people don't like the short squatty. I like it, but that's irrelevant. The dog should look a certain way depending how they're bred. If they're crossed, that's different. But if we're talking about line bred or inbred dogs, they should exhibit the traits, not just the athleticism or the performance part, but there's certain behaviors and temperaments that they have to go along with it. There's certain structures, even colors, and color patterns, that bloodline should display. Back in the day, I mentioned, the champion little boots and that stuff, and stuff bred down from Jimmy Boots or Grand Champion Hank and all that. The Kephardt's Tip and a lot of the if you want to call them Maloney dogs or Usselton dogs, stuff like that. They have a build to them. They're a lot of them are very conformation wise. They're very well built. They're thick with thick heads and a nice thick muzzle. A lot of them have the color patterns of being red, and it's something about they have almost like a darkness to the parts of their muscle, or the light with the dark on their face and stuff. It's if you look at Jimmy Boots, he's got like little dots of color. A lot of them come out like that if they're true to their blood, but they have nice teeth on them and they're thick bone, and they got leg under them. You know, they're a little bit tall. They're you could say they're a little bit long, but they're just proportioned all the way through. Those are the old Daibo, if you want to call it, traits. You know, if you look at the Daibo dogs, most of them are thick, and they have some of them have a lot of lip to them, but they got that boxy muzzle, that thick muzzle, that nice head to them. You know, most of them have a half drop ear, and they're not roach backed or swayed back. You know, more of a straight back kind of, if you want to say like that. You just got to see them to or know them. You know, those are the traits. And I would say dogs like Jimmy Boots and Grand Champion Hank and a lot of the old TDK dogs, you know, they exhibit that look, you know, and it's impressive to see. You know, they're just good looking dogs, man. Conformation wise and their intelligence, you know, their mouth and their roughness, you know. So when you see dogs like that and you study their peds and you see what bloodline they're from, those dogs should, even to this day, they should exhibit certain traits that bloodline is known for. And when you cross them, let's say you cross Bo Leo and Bully Son, you know, the reason I would say that they first started doing that was to add mouth to the Bo Leo side, and to the Bully Son side, you know, add some air and some heart and if you got the Bully Son dogs that have heart, well then it should pass on from both sides. But if you see them take the benefit of crossing, say, a Boleo to a Bully Son, if it takes after the Boleo side, then you still have them dogs with some leg under them, deep chest, good balance, good air, gameness, speed, all that. But you should see an increased mouth in the blood. You should see an increase in the bone structure, bone thickness, you know, in the dogs. It's taken after the Bully Son side. You still want that powerful, hard charging, screaming, wild, hard biting stuff. But maybe they think a little more and they pace themselves a little better. And they do have better air. And they do have some better balance to them, you know, when they wrestle. Because at the same time, they should get some leg under them too. They shouldn't be so short and squatty. And that's one of the benefits of those Bully Son dogs that are short and squatty like that. When you cross them, they tend to have more leg under them. You know, some don't. Some still show this short squatty side, but a lot of them will come out like that. So you could see them taking after one side or taking after the other side, but the benefit should be from both sides. Each side is getting something that the other side lacks, and vice versa. So you know, maybe that's what they were looking at when they crossed, say, the Red Boy and Jocko. You know, Red Boy, long-winded, known for gameness, known for durability and going a long distance. Well, you put the Jocko, known for that mouth and that speed of getting in there and doing a lot of damage. You cross it and you get the best of both worlds. But you have to know the Jocko side. What is it bringing to the table? And you have to know the Red Boy side. What is it bringing to the table? What do you expect from it? But again, those original dogs that you're using, if you get a Jocko dog, how do they behave? What are their traits? What is their you know, what are they supposed to look like? What are they supposed to act like? How are they supposed to perform? If you know that and the dog holds true to the bloodline, when you look at that dog, that's what you're supposed to see. And when you have a Red Boy dog and you know their background, their family traits, that's what you're supposed to see from that individual. Same with the Jeep dog, you know. I've seen Jeep dogs inbred and they held the traits of the Jeep dog. And they could be inbred and they didn't lose a lot of that performance because they were crossed first. took an inbred Jeep dog and crossed it to a Boomerang female. Took an inbred Jeep dog, crossed it to a Boleo female, and then they tightened them after that. Well, someone kept going and they went too far with the inbreeding, and it totally changed the behavior of the dog. Instead of being those hard charging, powerful, rough dogs, they turned defensive, you know, ear suckers and you know, backing up and being defensive. So somewhere along the line, somebody didn't follow the dog, and they lost a lot of those family traits. You know, that you can't keep dogs and breed them just because they're bred a certain way. If they don't follow those patterns, you're going to lose, you know, what you originally had. And going back and saying, well, Jeep's in there 90 times, and he looks like a Jeep dog. He's buckskin. He's got the full stop to his forehead. He's got the half drop ears, and he's thick. That's just the way the dog looks. How does he act? He's supposed to act a certain way too, you know. You start getting Jeep dogs that are not good mothers, and Jeep dogs that become human aggressive. Those ain't Jeep dogs. That ain't their traits. So this is a little bit just to clear up what I meant by not following bloodlines. And this video, to follow a bloodline, they should exhibit the traits of their families. And not only that, and more importantly, is they should be able to pass on those genes that they have and that their ancestors have to their offspring and their progeny. So if you keep that in mind, you'll have a better you'll have a better chance of breeding dogs that retain and pass on those traits, the traits of their family, the traits of their bloodline. So let me know what you think. Thanks.